Hello and welcome back to Jarvis Johnson Gold, the premium channel that is free. It is free, but if you're watching this, you're premium and ethical, I would like to say. There's a trend recently on social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, of unethical life hacks. Today, we have collected a number of creators who are engaging in such hacks. Oftentimes, I ask myself, if I engage in the unethical thing, am I a part of the problem? So I try not to. So I'm going to do that by just talking about other people doing it, because people are messing with these videos. They're popular videos. I'm going to review them. I'm going to review them on their efficacy, on their ethnicity. Review them on their ethnicity. How ethical they are. I'll be reviewing how ethical they are. Or unethical. We'll figure it out. We're going to start with Josh McCann on Instagram. Their username is Monopoly McCann, which I don't know what that's supposed to imply. And they build businesses and buy property. Okay. Is this unethical? Day 4.
Unethical ways to make money online. Today we've got selling bullshit artworks on Facebook.
Okay, so we're Australian. So this guy's Australian, I think. I don't know where he's based. I just know that he's based, if you know what I'm saying.
First off, let me say I'm not much of an artist. It all started at Kmart, where I'd quickly buy up any prints that they had on clearance. After that, you want to stop by Bunnings and pick up a big bucket of joint compound on top of that canvas you bought. And let your imagination run free. Just smear this stuff all around the canvas. Stage the photos. Position your new...
Wait, but this looks nice. Why did you have to go to Kmart and buy art on clearance? Because the frame was cheap? This is kind of like, help, I became an artist. Is it okay to ask for money? Is this unethical? I took a previous existing piece of art and then I like transformed it using painting tools. Now I'm selling my art, and that's the and that's my fucking scam, dude.
And that's all there is to it. Slap this on Facebook Marketplace.
Okay, I don't... No, the answer to your question, is this unethical, is no. Because you're not saying large textured artwork from famous artists. You did do art. You did labor. You did artistic expression. You didn't even do the like basic thing where it's like, oh, it's just a blank white canvas. Imagine with your mind. That's how my art is challenging you. They made art. Anastasia worked at an art museum. Did they make art?
They made art.
They made art. So on a scale of... is it unethical? No. And I do understand that that's not a scale. That is a Boolean binary. Okay.
Sold at an average of $250 to $300 a piece for around 10 minutes worth of work. I test new methods like this every single week.
So where they're being dishonest is that it's 10 minutes of work. Because maybe it's 10 minutes of work after you've set up the system. Doing all those chats isn't 10 minutes of work. Going to Kmart isn't 10 minutes of work. I get that you're exaggerating. It's funny how they've backed themselves into doing what a lot of artists do, which is undervaluing their art. It's fine. You just made art. People sell their bathwater for more money than you're selling your art. And I don't think that's a scam. To each their own. It's a free market. Unless you're lying about that being your bathwater. And how dare you if you're doing that? This would be a great part for me to talk about today's sponsor, which is not my bathwater. Before we get into that, we have a brief word from today's sponsor, Aura. Now, I've talked about data brokers before and how they collect up all your data, and then they sell it to the highest bidder. I figured, what if I joined the dark side and pay one of these data brokers to collect a bunch of information about my dear friend and producer, Anastasia?
You did what?
You will never guess what's in here.
What is in there?
I don't know. I can't see. Can I borrow your glasses?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is bad.
No, I can't see.
Well, they've got your contact information.
Oh my God.
Your addresses, past addresses, social media usernames.
Oh no.
I like butts 92.
Look, that was a particular time.
Aura's great because they take the annoying and tedious work of finding all these data brokers and submitting opt-out requests on your behalf into their own hands, so you don't have to worry about a thing. Give Aura a few weeks and you will stop seeing your name pop up on these sketchy, like white pages websites. Also, there's no laws requiring these data brokers to get your consent to collect your data or even sell it. And Aura doesn't just opt you out of these data brokers. They also offer features like an app, dark web monitoring, fraud alerts, a VPN, and more. It's a good deal for those who want to be a little more protected online. Okay, stop me from generating reports, because now I'm bad. You can head over to my link at aura.com/Jarvis and get 14 days to try it for free, which will give Aura enough time to submit these opt-out requests and get your name to stop showing up on these data broker websites. And give it a go if you're interested. Thanks to Aura for sponsoring this video. Now back to the video. Let's find out if this one's unethical.
We have clipping content on social media for brands and creators. And you can actually do this with 0 followers. So I started by downloading WAP from the App Store and then checking out their content rewards program.
Downloading what? WAP? Is this just an ad?
This is where you literally just set up these campaigns on WAP content rewards and manage the clippers for other brands and content creators.
Okay, so now you've invented management. Is it unethical? No. Once again, it is work, and it's work that someone doesn't want to do, or else they'd be doing it. You've reinvented something that already exists, which is management. I have a fucking boatload of emails in my inbox offering for people to do this for me because they found that they can make a quick buck doing it.
This guy who's literally making over $20,000 a month doing this. So I don't know, is it time for me to set up my own clipping agency and start cold DMing creators?
See, that's what I mean. Like, I am getting cold DM'd all the time by people doing stuff like this. So I know what's happening. In my view, it's like a legitimate business because it's a service that people are willing to pay for. And then management of those services is something that people are willing to pay for. So far, also not unethical. Funny enough, I was curious if this guy was like just doing like some sort of avant-garde comedy, unless they've gone as far as having real drop shipping courses and mentorship and consultations, being able to apply to invest in their high growth Australian property business. I have more issues with properties as an investment vehicle than other than like that you're not living in, than I do doing a service that people are willing to pay for. I actually have an idea for an unethical life hack where sometimes I cook food for myself, but I was realizing if I just cook food for other people, then I could charge a little bit on top of what it costs me to make that food. Then those people get the convenience because they're those fucking schmucks. They're willing to pay more to not have to make their food themselves. I'm thinking of calling it like a lunch emporium. And comment lunch if you're like trying to get in on the ground floor of my new business enterprise. This is like the opposite of what happens a lot on social media where people call everything a scam. This person is like the reverse of that. It's almost like they're saying, check out this new scam I found and it's doing honest work.
And today we have clipping content on social media for brands and creators.
The unethical thing would be to clip other people's content that you don't own and then post it as yourself, or to make money without the creator's consent. You know, like some creators don't mind, like I don't really care if you make money clipping my content. It depends on the person, or it depends on the content, right? Taking someone else's intellectual property without their permission and then profiting on it, that is unethical. Like what I'm doing, if I was just reposting this guy's TikToks and creating a market replacement for this guy's TikToks, instead I'm like trying to provide a lot of each of these TikToks, for example, is like a minute and a half, or shorts, or fucking reels, Jesus Christ. I'm trying to provide minutes on minutes in addition in commentary to that. And hopefully that's what you're coming from, or else you'd be going to watch this guy's business videos. Hey, maybe what I'm doing is unethical. Leave a comment down below. Maybe I should be fucking sued, bro.
Today we've got selling websites to small businesses.
Okay, selling websites to small businesses. Is he talking about like a web development shop where you set up somebody's like Squarespace for them? Because that's a thing that exists and it is a real business type. Or is he talking about like domain squatting? That I have more of that's a shitty to me.
We're going to automate the entire process and do none of the work ourselves. So first up, I went to the map and picked a random regional town in my home country of Australia. And then I Googled businesses in that area. I started with mechanics, electricians, and plumbers. And then I used my data scraper to pull all of this information straight from Google. This took me a few minutes.
So far, this is labor. I'm surprised he didn't use ChatGPT to do this because it would be cheaper and easier. So maybe that's my unethical life hack. You can use ChatGPT to clean up the data for your local Maitland plumbers and electricians. Subscribe for more.
Got ChatGPT to create me a simple JSON file.
Okay, he is using ChatGPT. You could have used ChatGPT before this point.
Ported this straight into N8. The automation I made is super simple. It basically just grabs the mobile number from the spreadsheet you saw earlier and sends a text message using Twilio.
I don't know what he said he's using, but this is like, there's a bunch of things that do this.
Do is blast these messages out, see how many calls I can book, and try and close these guys on a new website. I'll charge around $400 to build the initial site, website and then pay somebody on Fiverr to do it for $50. On top of that, we'll have a $50 upkeep, which will cover the domain and web hosting with some money to spend.
This one does have a few more like ethical considerations to be made. The first part of what he's doing is called lead generation, and it's a part of every client-based business. It's like finding people who could potentially be your clients, aka leads, and then going and doing outreach to those leads. The other aspect of this, the Fiverr part, where he pays someone on Fiverr to make a website, he charges more than he's paying on Fiverr. However, what we don't know is what sort of, is this a one and done situation? Most of the people he's going to be reaching out to are not ready to be web hosts, so they're going to need some sort of consistent maintenance, or it's not free to keep things hosted forever. So is this a one-time payment thing, or are we on a subscription? And then the second that there's an issue or something that needs to be changed, if that Fiverr person becomes unavailable, does this guy have the skills to do that? Or is he just like leaving his customer like shit out of luck? That's like where it gets, like, it's still a business, but now it's like a business with high risk of producing a shitty product for the end consumer. But yeah, as is often the case with Reels, it leaves out a lot of nuance of actually doing this for real. So much of the world is middlemen in between businesses, middlemen at businesses, and that's all this is. Spoiler alert, people are willing to pay for convenience, and that's all this is. Like, yes, someone could go and buy their own website, but maybe they hadn't thought of it. Maybe they don't want to manage it. If you're going to take care of those things, well, then that is a price that I would pay. I am curious to see how effective this is in a world where something like Yelp or like Google businesses exist, where it's not as valuable. Like things like SEO. Like, do you know about SEO? Is my website going to be showing up in the results when people search for me? Because you found them through Google, so they're already findable through Google if I'm looking for a plumber. So is how many people are going to bite? That's the thing where he kind of set up the idea of what this work is going to be, but without him actually following through, I think it's just like misleading about how much back and forth and communication management and stuff, it could very quickly get unwieldy, which is why it's a business that real people do.
Unethical ways to make money online. Next up, we have resale. And no, I don't mean selling fakes and passing it off as the real deal. No, I mean buying genuine items cheap and reselling them online.
I'm convinced that this person doesn't know what ethics are. I'm going to watch some of their other content and make sure that this isn't just like a big joke. But curating vintage clothing finds is a business. It's a business that a lot of people partake in. Like where I am in Los Angeles, there's a lot of like flea markets that aren't really like flea markets in the traditional sense. They're places you can go and look at the collection of vintage goods that someone has curated over a long period of time. You can buy them at a markup, but you are also buying like cool vintage stuff, hopefully, and hopefully it's not fake. And so part of the work involved with that is knowing about the vintage world, knowing about clothing from the past, being able to identify a real thing from a fake thing. If you don't have the skills to do that, and you're saying that you do, that's where I would consider it fairly unethical. But if you're developing the skill set to identify these vintage goods, you're doing the labor of sorting through bulk bins of cheap clothing to find the diamonds in the rough that you were going to restore or clean up and pick out the items that you then have to display somewhere on a Depop store or on a whatever, you've created a business. I don't know what to tell you. It's crazy that you haven't realized this yet. But you've just done a business. I'm going to join the Discord.
Genuine items cheap and reselling them online. So anyway, we went to this warehouse sale today.
It seems like the issue that this guy has is buying something cheap and then selling it for more as like unethical, but then has business courses about drop shipping, which I think is misleading and can very easily and very quickly be unethical, especially with like labor like practices that are involved, and investment real estate, which is a whole other can of worms. But I don't personally think that like businesses or individuals should own tons and tons and tons of properties that people could be living in to hold as investment vehicles. Just my own personal opinion. I think that the ethics of that are worth way more discussion than finding an old an OG Old Navy shirt or something and from 1962 and then selling it. But we'll see if they're actually doing that.
Bunch of different brands selling clothes at a fraction of the cost. These pants, for example, retail for $100 each, but here they were selling for $15 a piece. Anyway, we stocked up on a whole bunch of stuff and we worked out that we spent around $250 for $1,300.
Right. The reason that you could buy these things at this discounted price is because there's already been a process by which these things were not sold at the maximum value. And you are making an investment that you can find the issue is finding the market, finding the person who is going to want that thing, curating the vibe such that when you set up your pop-up shop or you set up your online store, that a person looking for that thing is going to find it. And you have to hold all that shit in your home. And so it doesn't scale well because if you have too much shit, then now you're a store. Surprise, you've become Target.
As soon as I got home, I took some photos and got the eBay listings crafted. Now they're all up and running and already getting some traction. Anyway.
And then he left a comment saying, personally, I'm already thinking this is too high effort / low reward, but I'll give anything a go. He also took good looking photography. That's marketing photography. It doesn't matter how like lo-fi or how you're not a professional to do this thing, because most of these businesses, most things in this world are fake smoke and mirrors and vibes, okay? And that's all this guy's doing. There's like nothing wrong with doing that. It's just not going to be, it's more than likely not going to be your ticket to financial freedom, which is what we're hashtagging. And it's also not passive, which is what we're hashtagging. But it does make you an entrepreneur, I guess, if you want to call yourself that.
This is exactly how smart people out there are profiting off of current events. Fear is up and people are scared. This is the fear index, and you can see it's as high nearly as it was back during COVID. So what happens to the market when people are scared?
I'm going to cut this off early and say it's opposite day for our friend Monopoly here, because the things that he's currently talking about in this short are how you can like make the market work for you during wartime and times of high fear, which is like not what I want anyone's priority to be when there are horrible atrocities happening in the world. Is how can I make a quick buck off of this? You know, that's something that I would consider unethical. If I think my country is going to go to war, I'm not going to go invest in like war profiteer companies because I'm ethically opposed to the actions of those companies. So for me to profit feels like blood money, right? Like, then he's like, what if I sold a shirt for more money than I bought it for? Is that unethical? And then there's comments in this very post about people like moving their assets around so that they can invest in fucking military contractors. I don't like it. Okay. I don't like it.
How much did Instagram pay me to generate over 6 million views in the past 30 days? Literally $0. Meanwhile, there's kids out here on WAP pulling a fraction.
What is your relationship with this fucking website? What is WAP? How to make money with WAP clipping? How to make $100,000 per month with WAP? What the fuck is going on? It seems like reverse Fiverr, where instead of sellers offering their services, it's people willing to pay for services. Kind of like on Craigslist where you could do one or the other. Oh, okay. Comment WAP and I'll send you a link to get started for free. This is an affiliate situation. All right, buddy. Let's peel back the curtain here. This man is generating leads, which we've previously discussed, which are everyone who views one of his videos as a potential customer to go to WAP. It's pronounced the same way as the fucking Cardi B song, and that is that on purpose? That's all of us at the top of this business funnel. So let's say some small percentage of those people comment WAP, which we can see here. Now, he's gonna DM them, make them feel special, his special link. And with that link, it's gonna say ampersand UTM param refer whatever the fuck Monopoly McCann, and then when you click on that link, it's gonna attribute Monopoly McCann giving you that link to WAP, and then WAP on their back end is gonna be like, Mr. Monopoly, you've given us 1,000 new Whoppers, okay? But not the burger. You've given us 1,000 new Whoppers. Here's your cut of cash. And that's like a little sub hustle that's happening within his content, because he's grinding. But this motherfucker looks like somebody who doesn't, like, I've never met somebody who's like so obsessed with business but has no genuine interest beyond making money. I guess there's a lot of people like that, but like, it seems like they already have been successful if they've bought hundreds of properties in Australia or invested in hundreds of properties in Australia. So it's like, this is fine, I guess. But if I'm ever sponsored, this would be another great time to cut to a sponsor. If I'm ever sponsored, it is clearly labeled. And I just can't imagine a world where you're like promoting a app or service so much for free where you're not seeing any upside from it. Okay, my review on the ethics of Monopoly McCann. The stuff where he's asking if it's unethical, actually ethical. The stuff where he's not, I have questions. Next up, we have Zach Alsop, who has more YouTube subscribers than me. I tested unethical life hacks that actually work. So they've got themselves a like Mr. Beast style, like Airac style video situation where they're doing all kinds of crazy stunts. Look, I'm not passing any judgment on the people here. I'm all about the hacks. I am a tried and true life hack expert. I believe in working smart, not hard, and also not working at all and playing Final Fantasy X.
Pretending to be a food critic in a fancy restaurant just to get myself some free dinner. Thank you. Slow service.
Sorry?
Oh, nothing.
This is very easy to stage, but also if you have 2 million subscribers and you're filming at a restaurant, you may as well be a food critic because you can say bad things about the restaurant to your audience.
While most of them aren't technically illegal, if I do get caught, there's a good chance I'll be arrested.
All right, relax, bud. You think you're gonna get arrested for pretending to be a food critic at a restaurant while you're filming and critiquing the food? Okay, all right. Sorry. Again, I'm about the hacks.
First, I'm going to show you a naughty little method for getting free parking. Parking in New York is expensive.
Well, yeah, because no one drives in New York, so that's your first mistake.
$70, $300. But that's fine, because I've got an unethical life hack which is going to get me free parking in the best spot in town all day. This spot, to be exact, located directly in the middle of Times Square.
My question is, how did you get that drone shot? Because that is elite. That'll get you arrested. That better be some stock footage, man. There's some, don't mess around with New York. Oh, look, at Drone Snap. There we go. Okay, cool.
Can I park here? No. So to park here completely for free, all you need is a big red bow and a sign.
Okay, so this is illegal. This is okay. So you've just done a crime. And look, who cares? I'm not going to tell, even though I just did. You did this in the past, though. So not all crimes are unethical. Not all laws are ethical. But you did say they're not illegal. And this is fraud. And it is also trespassing. I'm a fucking narc right now. To do any sort of display in most cities, you need a permit to do so. And if you don't, then it's against the law. And I'm not the cops, all right? I'm just saying you said it wasn't illegal, okay? Don't get mad at me. I'm just pointing out a fact. And then also you're lying about this contest, which is a form of fraud. I mean, it's illegal, you know? I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want to be the laws guy. The ethics we could talk about.
Guys, win this car for free. Yep, the plan was to make the car look like it was part of a competition. And in Times Square, which is full of ads.
This is very like prank coded also. But the funny thing is that in New York, I feel like no one gives a shit. Sometimes I park my car and I put 2 hours on the meter and I come out 2 hours and 30 minutes later because it was a meeting or I lost track of time. I have a ticket and I pay my ticket and I go, aw, drats. And yeah, I did illegal, I guess, but I paid my dues, okay? So you're just gonna get a ticket, brother. You're just gonna get a ticket, and who cares? No one in New York wants that car anyways. I'm walking here.
You gonna enter?
Yeah, I want to enter.
Hell yeah.
See, that sucks, man. He's like, this idiot thinks I'm running a real contest.
I get a nice little alert that my car is safe directly to my phone. Which is great. It means the car hasn't been towed.
Doesn't mean you don't have a ticket. What this guy cares about, which I have to point out, is like the optics of it for a YouTube video. It is a good optic in that it is intriguing, makes people ask questions. So like from the structure of like what a YouTube video is trying to do, which is get people to click on it and watch it for a long time, I totally understood why they did this and why it's framed in the way that it is. I'm just here about the hacks, okay? So I just need another hack.
I booked an incredibly expensive first-class flight, and I have no intention of getting on it. That's because for this hack, I'm booking a refundable first-class ticket to gain access to the first-class lounge and all its free food and drink, then refunding my ticket just before takeoff.
Hey, this one, I could care less. You were only impacting a extremely profitable a business that runs pretty anti-consumer practices that tend towards unethical, but provide a service that many of us cannot avoid. And so we have to deal with these shitty anti-consumer practices. And it's affecting people who paid $10,000 for their first class flight to have a guy in their lounge who's going to refund it. All of that's a part of the risk profile of when they create things like this. Another way you could do this is sign up for one of those credit cards and then cancel the credit card. You know, they build that into the budget. So unethical, interesting. I would say it's in the who cares bin for me. I'm no ethics professor yet. I'm also not studying to be one, nor am I on the process yet. These don't seem like huge ethical dilemmas for the average person, but it does fill the runtime. So, I mean, there's that. I'm not going to go through every one in this guy's video. If you want to watch his video, go for it. Look, I'm just here about the hacks. All right. Boom. Next. I don't care about fucking Delta. Do I think it'll work? Yeah, probably. The issue is that most people can't afford the $9,000 flight charge to begin with, even if you're refunding it. It requires a little bit of working capital or credit limit. And the risks are high for people, the average Joe, to do this, because if at any point there is a issue that involves you actually having to pay for the flight, that could be debilitating for people who aren't like large YouTubers. Call me a restaurant critic in the restaurant of unethical life hacks, and I've had my sampling. So I'm going to move on to our last guy. So this is another creator with over 1 million subscribers. I tested unethical ways to make money. I'm here about the hacks. What are these ethical ways? Let's take our little sample.
I'm currently dressed up as a gold street performer collecting a ridiculous amount of tips from all these people. That's not actually me. It's a mannequin that I've dressed up and spray painted to look like a real person, and I've been raking in money all day without lifting a finger.
I think we might have found our first unethical. I do kind of feel like when someone is tipping, they believe that they're tipping a street performer, and they believe that this person is doing their thing. And so I do think that this probably takes away from real street performers. Also, another thing you need like a permit to do, and there are like real people who's like make a living doing this. All I'm saying is, if someone is walking down the street in the city they're touring, I guess you could say, they put $1 in a bucket for a street performer, and they see another street performer. Let's say there's a silver guy on the corner who's a real man. It feels bad that the person might go, they're not nearly as still as the gold guy. You know, that would be a fear that I would have, which is why I wouldn't necessarily engage in this. So I'm going to give that one unethical out of some number of ethics.
Just one of many unethical money-making methods that I'll be testing to see if they'll make us rich or if we'll end up behind bars.
Why is everyone always being arrested? It's like, are we children? I'm like, because to me, being arrested is not the like risk of the YouTube video. When I watch a YouTube video, I'm not going, oh man, I hope they don't get arrested. Imagine if I like started this video and it's like, I'm gonna riff a little bit on some videos I found online. Hope I don't get arrested. And then I cut to like a cop car and it's like, wee. Do I really think that this person is in any risk at any point? No. But if I'm like a kid, then like it reminds me of those like don't call Scooby-Doo at 4 a.m. type videos.
The fake marriage method. I've seen this new trend that newly married couples do where they'll write a cute little message on the back of their car that says just married. They make sure to throw their little Venmo tag on there.
Here's my question. Does he send the money back? Because if you do it and don't send the money back, kind of lame. The thing is, the people who gave the money to the fake street performer aren't getting their money back.
Today.
I like doesn't feel great. It's like one of those things, it's like just a prank because it makes me feel like people's goodwill is being misused, you know? This is the closest someone has gotten to questioning ethics, if I'm being honest. You know what? I actually commend Jack for trying things that are actually unethical.
Right now, we have a Venmo on the side.
There's nothing unethical about asking someone to Venmo you, but under false pretenses, bingo, you got an unethical. And as someone who's here to find the unethics, Jack actually did test it. I'll give him that.
Congratulations from a car on PCA. It took 45 minutes, but we just got a $5 tip.
This guy seems very nice. I wish he wasn't doing so many unethical hacks. Again, not gonna go through the whole video, but good on Jack for actually challenging my ethical framework and doing unique things that I hadn't seen. A lot of work went into this, but you don't need to do the unethics, sir. And that's from Captain Ethnicity himself. Goodbye.